friends. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much for being here. And I love you all, too. Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country. I hope that he will be a successful president for all Americans. This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election for the values we share and the vision we hold for our country.
Hillary Clinton loses to reality shows. This is not the night she lost, believe it or not. This is the night after she lost. Hillary Clinton was afforded an opportunity that I've never seen in my political memory for a candidate to not come out on the night that the person failed and lost, but to come out on the next night. From my understanding, there was a bit of difficulty in accepting this particular result. However, she was able to compose herself and go out and make that concession speech. She thought she was going to win. And many of the other Democrats thought she was going to win. They thought it for the longest time was a lock and that there's no way, it's impossible that Donald Trump could ever be president. If I'm not mistaken, HuffPost had 98% chance that Hillary Clinton was going to win on the night that Hillary Clinton lost. It burned. There is a book called Shattered that goes into what happens nights after this loss. And basically what happens is that Clinton doesn't accept that it was her fault that she lost and went with her team in order to push this notion of Trump and Russia. That was the mantra, Trump and Russia. And everyone was supposed to scream that at the height of their lungs. And that's exactly what they did. You would have thought that this would have been the end of Clinton, but not so much. If you remember, Clinton was running this race with an indictment hanging over her head, and the person who, for the most part, gave her a pass on it was Comey, followed by other members of the staff that was working on Clinton. But those people also, just so happened who gave her a pass, was working on Trump and Russia. Here's the catch. I have been one of those people on this channel that have made the point that it is a big, big deal for the intelligence services and one of the political parties to try to take down a president in this way. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care who it is. This is not a political thing in the sense of ideological fights between parties. This is our political structure and whether that political structure is going to survive. And if it does survive, we need to know whether or not all of this was essentially party politics using our, you could say, intelligence apparatus to take down one of the political opponents or to tarnish or to injure one of the political opponents. I mean, for God's sake, the Mueller investigation, if Mueller found anything, if Mueller was even in this to dislike Trump in order to put something in there, Democrats would have tried to take him out of office that much sooner than this Ukraine nonsense. We've been lied to flagrantly for 3 years. They have been running with a conspiracy theory for 3 years, Trump and Russia, and they still talk about it. They still dig that ditch, despite the fact that they've had the Mueller investigation, and even more apropos, the IG report making the point that this was all based on a document from Steele, paid for by who? Paid for by who? The lawyers representing one, Hillary Clinton, the candidate that lost. Meaning, the document that the FBI was using, despite all protestations to the contrary, was essentially a political operations document that the FBI knew was A, politically motivated, and B, they deceitfully and continuously lied to the FISA court in order to continue to spy on Trump. And you have to come to the conclusion of why did they do that? Meaning, if it's just the facts, ma'am, and the intelligence service is looking into Trump, and as they're looking into Trump, they're trying to decide whether or not there's something to the dossier. Steele's own sources tell them this guy is full of it, and yet they don't disclose that to the FISA court. They find out that Carter Page was working with the CIA. Not only don't they disclose that to the FISA court, one of the agents takes an extra step in order to change their documentation. in order to say that the guy wasn't working for him or to give the impression. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? If it's purely just the facts, ma'am, and they're looking into the Trump and Russia thing, and you find one fact after the next that says that the predicate that you're using for this is not just bogus, but that there's no there here. This is full of it. And you continuously go to the FISA court and lie over and over and over again. Why did they do that? It's bad enough that the conspiracy theory was propagated for the last 3 years. From a Democratic standpoint, all the incentives in the world are to keep that going because they hate Trump. They want to tar him with anything. But we have a higher objective in the figuring out, because the IG made the point, I don't know if they were flagrantly incompetent or if there was political bias. Now, Barr makes the point that there are plenty of things here that have to be explained that just can't be explained through incompetence. It's not incompetent to change a letter or to change a memo in order to make it look like Page is not involved in the process. It's not incompetence to just lie and flagrantly not give information to the FISA court. And by the way, 99.7% of the FISA warrants are accepted. It's not you and a defense attorney and somebody who wants to look into your affairs. It's the person who wants to look into your affairs, and they're supposed to be, by law, honest to the court, because there is no defense attorney on the other side. Now, I would go so far as to wager that the FISA abuse goes far beyond this case. I mean, after all, you've created a secret court, and I would imagine that you would have as much corruption or as much flagrant abuse in that secret court as you would have in the priesthood with them molesting kids. Anytime you have these things hidden from the public sight, problems are going to fester. Well, that's to put it mildly. I want to go over a report written by John Solomon, just put out in The Hill. Collusion bombs show. DNC lawyers met with FBI on Russia allegations before the surveillance warrant. Meaning, before they got the FISA warrant, the DNC lawyers met with the FBI before they issued that warrant. Meaning that when they went to the FISA court, they knew in advance, they had to, that it was politically motivated. I mean, after all, you're meeting with the DNC lawyers. This is new testimony that just took place, and you have people who was leaking it like a sieve, probably Republicans. I want to discuss this. In fact, I just want to read the article, not the entirety of it, just a paragraph or two to make the point. This is a big deal. How all of this started is a big deal. And whether or not one of the political parties had fused with some elements of the intelligence component, if there was bias in that process, we need to know. If there were other people involved in that in a political sense, meaning that went up the chain, we need to know. I mean, after all, this was a Democratic president that had chose the Democratic Department of Justice. Comey had just let Clinton off on something that she was clearly, flagrantly guilty on. You had Loretta Lynch hugging Bill Clinton, saying she, quote unquote, was just talking about their kids. Lynch said she wasn't going to play a part in the case. Lynch actually did play a part in the case behind the scenes. There's a lot of this that looks problematic. The DNC sending emissaries to try to get information from the Ukraine to hit Manafort, and just so happened they pulled that off, despite everybody telling you to the contrary. My point is, this is a big deal. And this investigation that John Durham is doing is extremely important. And apparently there's also another investigation that is taking place in regards to all of the leaks that are taking place. Because keep in mind, Comey and many of these other guys went in to talk to, I don't know if it was Comey. I think it was Brennan and it was other intelligence officials. But they went in to talk to Trump, telling him we have a dossier, nobody's, we haven't been able to confirm it. And then it was leaked. Hit the media like a bombshell. Those leaks need to be investigated. It seems that we care about some leaks more than others. Nevertheless, I want to keep this relatively short. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support PayPal, Patreon. I'm going to trim the first part of this video, so the timing may seem a little bit longer than what it actually is. This document, this is an investigation. John Solomon, regardless of what they've been telling you in the media, has been doing good work. Collusion bombshell. DNC lawyers met with the FBI on Russia allegations before the surveillance warrant. And just to go through a few parts of the article. John Solomon. Congressional investigators have confirmed that a top FBI official met with the Democratic Party lawyers to talk about allegations of Donald Trump's Russia collusion weeks before the 2016 election and before the Bureau had secured a search warrant targeting the Trump campaign. Former FBI General Counsel James Baker met during the 2016 season with at least one attorney from Perkins Coie, the Democratic National Committee's private law firm. That's the firm used by the DNC and Hillary Clinton's campaign to secretly pay research firm Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele, a former British intelligence operative, to compile a dossier of uncooperated raw intelligence alleging Trump and Moscow were colluding to hijack the presidential election. The dossier, mostly unverified, was used by the FBI as the main evidence seeking a FISA warrant targeting the Trump campaign in the final days of the campaign. The revelation was confirmed both in contemporaneous evidence and testimony secured by a joint investigation of Republicans on the House Judiciary and Government Oversight Committees, my sources tell me. It means the FBI had good reason to suspect the dossier was connected to the DNC's main law firm and that was a product of Democratic opposition research to defeat Trump, yet failed to disclose that information to the FISA court on October 2016 when the Bureau applied for the FISA warrant to surveil Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Baker was interviewed by lawmakers behind closed doors on Wednesdays. Sources declined to divulge much about the testimony other than to say it confirmed the evidence about the contact between Perkins Coie law firm and the FBI. The sources said Baker identified lawyers Michael Sussman, a former DOJ lawyer, as a Perkins Coie attorney who reached out to him and said the firm gave him documents and a thumb drive related to the Russian interference and the election, hacking, and possible Trump connections. Now think about what we're saying here. A member from the Democratic Party or somebody representing the Democratic Party who has every incentive and bias in the world to help Trump lose works with the FBI, as if there's no political motive in a person working with the FBI. They did not tell the FISA court that this was taking place. That's the problem. Right off the bat, you've lied to the FISA court. I don't know how people don't go to jail for this. Another said that Baker could not answer some questions about the FBI media contacts, citing an ongoing investigation by the Justice Department Inspector General into alleged illegal leaks during and after the election about the Trump collusion probe and other matters. They were leaking like a sieve, if you remember. A growing body of evidence that the FBI used mostly politically motivated, unverified intelligence from an opponent to justify spying on a GOP nominee campaign just weeks before the election day has prompted a growing number of Republicans to ask President Trump to declassify the rest of the FBI's documents in the Russia collusion. If I am a Trump advisor, I am telling him to do the exact same thing. Why wouldn't you do that? If you firmly and honestly believe that the Democratic Party was colluding with some of the intelligence services to take you out of office, not only does that pertain just to you, that pertains to us as an entirety of a country. This goes beyond politics. This is kind of the point that I'm making and why I've been so adamant about following this very specific issue. I'm not going to keep this long. I want this to be accessible and not necessarily a 20-minute long video, but I hope you get my point. Anna Maxa, thanks for your analysis every day. Big props. Thank you, Anna Maxa. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to end this here. Like, share, subscribe. This goes beyond politics. I don't care if you like Trump. I don't care. This could have been a Republican administration with a Republican Department of Justice, with a Republican campaign that needed to create some kind of chimera of something in order to attack their political opponent with. And I strongly suspect the media will have a very different interpretations if it was. But it wasn't. It was Democrats, and Trump was an ogre, and so they were terrified of him, and the Democratic Party hated him, and so for the most part, anything that was said about him, they went along with it. If he was working with the Russians, he's a Russian plant, and they used that just like they would call Obama a Muslim, or they would call Obama other names. My point is, Democrats didn't care that he was being smeared like this. The media didn't care. They saw this as just being an amazing story, a president that's a Manchurian candidate, etc., and they just run with it. It has legs. They're going to make buck off of it. Rachel Maddow ran with it. She's the Democratic operative part of the MSNBC, however. Meaning all of these people with these mega platforms has a dog in the hunt. And it's possible, because the FBI are made up of human beings, that they also had political objectives and political motives in the things that they were doing. Not the FBI as totality of an organization, but yeah, some of the higher ups that may have been involved in the decision making in this process. Hillary Clinton getting off woke me up. There was no way that woman should have ever gotten off. And if she did get off, and you've just listed her sins, then there's something else going on here that doesn't comport to law. There's something else. Once this Trump stuff, Mueller comes out, the IG report comes out showing you that they have been openly lying to you, and media have been taking this stuff spoon-fed, lying to you. Zero reflection on this issue. It becomes dramatically important to figure out what happened. Was it bad apples? Or was there bad intent based on political motive? I gotta be honest, I'm with Barr on this. I have a hard time squaring some of the behavior with incompetence. I don't see it. It seems to have been political bias. And if nothing else, we need to get to the bottom of what happened. Like, share, subscribe.